Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 random questions. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria, and tonight's guest is heavyweight Byron the Bear Polley. How you doing?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you taking time to come on.
Sure.
So now I know you've been out of the ring for a couple years. So I guess my question is, and the fans are probably wondering too, because I never heard an official retirement announcement, but are you officially retired now?
I'm done, man. I'm done.
Okay, well, I know you say that, but if that call came, would you actually train and get back in there again?
I stay in shape. I'm in better shape than I've ever been right now. I own a gym, and I deal with a lot of amateurs and a lot of pros. So I don't know. I'd have to talk to my, fiance and see what she thought. There's always that you want to do it, but you got to be smart too. I'm 44 years old, so shots to the head ain't very, very, bright thing to do right now. It's time to say I think I'm done.
Okay, now you just mentioned that you own a gym. So what's the name of the gym and where is it located?
The Bear Den Boxing LLC, and we're in St. Joseph, Missouri.
Okay, so anybody that's interested in coming down there and working with you, if they're in the area, they can just give you a call or kind of stop in when the doors are open.
Sure.
And you said you got some pros you're working with too?
My son, for one, he's 5-3, and his last fight was on ESPN against Larry Fryers. And he just didn't feel like he lost that fight. So it kind of, seeing the kind of politics of boxing kind of bothered him a little bit. So he kind of took a little break, but he's really solid, man. He's sharp. He sparred me. He sparred with John Cantrell, who's another undefeated heavyweight out of Topeka, Kansas. Very, very, very talented. 9-0, I think 10-0. So my son's a beast. He's really good, man. He's 147 pounds right now, but he's usually 135. When he
that's your son's name is Dakota Polley, right?
The Hurricane, yes.
Okay, so anybody out there that's interested, go ahead and look him up as well. Sure, he's on social media.
Yep. We've got some promising kids in the amateur division, and they want to turn pros. So we'll see what happens.
All right, that's good to hear. All right, so you ready for these random 20 questions?
Let's go.
All right, question 1. How did you get involved in the sport of boxing?
My dad worked with Rob Calloway at Venture, and used to be open place here in town. And he said, he's always had me in boxing, watching boxing with him. Grew up watching Tyson. He said, let's go down to the Metro Pawn Shop. Rob Calloway's there training people, and let's see, you want to get into boxing? I said, let's do it. So I got down there, and they boiled a mouthpiece, put headgear on me and gloves, and put me in with the brother-in-law, Jason Redmond, and we got down. We were bloody and everything. It was wild. And they said, you know what? I think this kid's got a chance. And then next thing you know, Rob Calloway started training me, and the late Jerry Redmond, who passed away several years ago, Big Daddy, he took care of me real well, and just went to Metro Pawn and Metro Boxing Club and did that from 1994 to about 99 when I turned pro. And then that's when I got in with Earl Walker. And Earl Walker is who took me through my whole career.
And now, how old were you when you first started?
13 years old.
Okay. And you've been lucky enough to been in the ring with a lot of big names.
I have. Yep. I've fought the best of the world, I would say.
Nice. All right. Question 2. What boxers have inspired you in your career?
Well, Mike Tyson, for sure, because I'm short and I'm heavyweight, and I've kind of got that same move in my head style to keep from getting, caught coming in. I really was inspired by Brian Minto, and he's one of my opponents. Minto was bad, man. He's something else. He's a great, great athlete, great boxer. He had a heck of a career himself. Yeah, and then, Sugar Ray Leonard, for the speed, Muhammad Ali, of course, Sonny Liston, You know,
Speaking of Muhammad Ali, before I forget, happy birthday to the GOAT. It's Muhammad Ali's birthday today. Wore the shirt for him. So,
wow, man, didn't even realize it was his birthday today. That's wild.
I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but you brought that up, so it made me remember it.
You're fine, man. You're fine. But you gotta understand too. I mean, not to bring this guy up a lot, but Rob Calloway is who I like. That was like his beginning, his opener. When I turned pro, I was an opener for him. He was the main attraction of the show, and all them years I watched him train, watched him spar with Damon Reed, Marcus Rohde came up and sparred, a guy from Nebraska came up and sparred. Ira Hum was his name. I mean, I was around boxing quite a bit from him, and I got to spar with some of these guys myself, and I got to, I hate to say it, but I was like his his punching bag for a long time, but it actually didn't just damage me, but it actually made me better. It made me a better fighter to get beat up by this guy, throughout your young career, And I mean, he wouldn't play around, man. I mean, he'd let us have it. We'd leave there with a white T-shirt, red, from Bloody Noses. And then by the time when I got with Earl, Earl turned me into more technical boxer, turning my, waist in my punches and really putting power into the punches and not just arm punching. And Earl developed me as a boxer, a better fighter. Where I wasn't being trained by Rob, I was just kind of being a sparring buddy. So.
Okay. All right. Question 3. Do you have any hobbies outside the sport of boxing?
Yeah, I like to go shoot, the AR. I like to shoot guns. I like to shoot pool, video games with the kids, PS5. Yep.
Okay. Question 4. What's the first thing you bought with your first big contract?
Well, that's a good question. Bought a car. Bought a Mustang GT convertible.
All right. Question 5. Do you fish and hunt?
Yeah. I have not actually hunted, but I have fished often, and I've got my Missouri hunter's safety course and all that. I just haven't had nowhere to take me. So.
And what exactly do they hunt down there?
Deer. Yeah, we hunt a lot of deer down here. If you don't, man, you're hitting them with your car.
All right, question 6. If you had a Super Bowl party and you could invite one NFL player over to watch the Super Bowl with you from past or present, who would the player be?
Travis Kelce. Kansas City, baby. Travis Kelce. Everybody loves Kelce.
Okay. Question 7. Can you tell me an interesting story out of your boxing career?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's too many. I'll tell you a funny story. Okay. Funny story. This is kind of embarrassing, right? When you're all gloved up and you're ready to go fight, right? And you got to go to the bathroom. And your coach is like, I'm not touching you, bro. You're gloved up. What are you going to do? I had my coach put water on top of my head and went to the bathroom, man. Went to the bathroom before I went out to fight. That's crazy. But yeah, you can't unglove yourself. You can't pull your cup off. You can't go to the bathroom unless you have someone hold it for you. So
you went, wait a minute. So you urinated in your shorts before you went out there?
Yep. Yeah.
So
that was a long time ago, man. I just remembered the craziest thing that ever happened. I would say that would be it. Other than okay, crazy story in boxing. When I went to Germany to fight Alexander Ustinov, the guy that called me for the fight said, "Hey, got this fight in Germany. It's in Stuttgart. I don't know anything about the guy. He said some bullshit. He's some Chippendale dancer. Nobody knows him. Blah blah." I get there. This dude's 7'2", 308 pounds, and he ducks to walk in the door. And I'm like, "Oh, what?" And I called my mom. My mom was still alive at the time, and I said, "Mom, I don't know, man. This guy's 7'2", 308 pounds. This is gonna hurt." I mean, I don't know what to do. There's nowhere to go. I mean, I'm in Germany. I can't fly back home. I got to fight this guy. And, so I went in the fight. I fought my ass off, but I did, pardon my French, but I fought the best I could. And, he's a 7'2". It looked like Mutt and Jeff. It was funny. People were laughing when he pushed me down.
Oh my God. All right. Question 8. Why did you box?
I actually dealt with bullies as a young kid. Got bullied a lot. Grew up in kind of the projects of St. Joe. 36th Street Apartments is pretty rough when you were growing up young. Now they've cleaned it up, but grew up, rough. Having to fight. Kids like picking on me and like your shoes are generic or I don't like your clothes. And I was getting picked on. I was a short, little, fat, dumpy dude. Not in no kind of shape. Didn't know how to fight nothing, and learned to fight the hard way. And then went into a boxing gym and learned how to fight better. And then. Yeah. So, I've always been a fighter. I'm a fighter in everything I do, Okay. Whether I'm selling cars, I'm fighting to sell more cars, or I'm fighting to pay the bills. I'm fighting for everything.
Okay. Question 9. Now, we mentioned earlier that you pretty much fought everybody. So question 9, who was your favorite opponent that you fought?
Favorite opponent? I would give that to Luis Ortiz. He's a great guy. And he looked at me and he's like, this guy's fat and out of shape, took this fight on 1 week. I'm going to kill him, so I'm going to be easy with him. And like you could tell he wasn't trying to put me to sleep. He kept like going to my belly. My belly was big, man. I was doing the cop thing, so I wasn't even training. I got the call 1 week's notice. They say, you're not on TV. No contracts on television. Just, paid you to come out, fight him, and go home. Come collect your money and go home. Honest to God, that's really what we were trying to do. Luis Ortiz is a bad dude. I wasn't in no kind of shape at all and took this fight on 1 week's notice to take care of bills and money. So, yeah. And then you could tell it. He could tell he wasn't trying to – anyone else would be like, I'm dusting this dude. Get it over with. Knock me out. Instead, he worked on my body. He worked with me, kind of smiled at me a few times and worked. You could tell he was not trying to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Because that man could have hurt me a long time ago. And then finally at the end of the round, he got me and it was over. I went down and didn't – when I got up, I was, oh, no, I'm fine. The referee's like, no, this fight's over. It wasn't a fight. It's the worst fight I ever had, and it sucked. It was my first time being on television.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, question 10. Now, I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What animal best fits your personality?
The bear.
All right. Question 11. If you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
Wow. Steak and lobster.
Make the state pay.
There you go.
All right. Question 12. Did you suffer any injuries due to the sport of boxing?
I've had my nose broke probably 5 times. I've got 12 stitches on this eye, 11 on this eye. So broken hands, I've got like a real bad scar here. Other than that, eyes being cut and nose being broke. Other than that, that's it.
Okay. Question 13. If you could have had any musical artist walk you out to the ring for a fight, who would you have walked you out?
If I could have any musical artist walk me out, man, I'd probably go with Eminem, man. I'll have Eminem walk me out because he's from St. Joe. So that would be kind of a good deal. We, get that together.
So now you say he's from there. Is that before he moved to Detroit?
That is correct. He is from St. Joseph, moved to Detroit, and that's where, he got big in Detroit. Okay. But yeah, his mom I've actually sold his mother a car.
You sold Eminem's mother a car? Yes.
I've sold Eminem's mom a car. I sold her a Kia Sorento back in, in the 2000s, like 2005, 4, something like that.
I'd be willing to bet that Eminem paid for that car.
I won't go too much into it, but no, she paid for it. Unless he, I don't know. She had her own money. She had her own finances.
Okay. All right. Question 14. If you got to sit down with a former president, what president would you want to sit down and talk to?
Trump, man. Trump for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Question 15. Who is the hardest puncher you've ever faced in the ring in a fight or sparring?
You know, and I thought hard about this one. I got to give it to Brian the Beast Minto, man. That dude. And I fought Vinny Matalone. I mean, I fought Kevin McBride. Luis Ortiz had precise power and speed, but Brian Minto had this raw, just beast, man. I mean, he hit me and split my eye wide open. And I looked over my corner like I didn't even want to get up. And they're like, get up, get up. I'm like, shit. I mean, I turned my head right into the punch and it split me wide open. It was like Frankie Fear was in that ring with me. I was fighting off fear. This guy is just a wicked looking dude, you know, and a really great guy. We're friends. We've talked and stuff since all this, just talked last year. But yeah, I got to give it to him, man. He hit hard, man. He really, really hit hard.
Okay. Question 16. What's one of your best boxing memories out of your career?
Well, that'd be fighting Trey Lippy Morrison on ESPN Live. You know, back in 2018, that was my, you know, final big fight. And then I went and fought George Arias off TV on Showtime in Oklahoma. But the Morrison fight set me up for that one. It was like cash out time. And the manager that I had at the time, Pat Nelson, was just pretty old. He knew we were cashing out. So we went for Morrison. I trained hard for Morrison, man. I really wanted to beat Morrison. And I gave it all I had. And, I mean, man, he'd crack me and I'd crack him. And, I mean, we had the crowd in it, man. I mean, it was a good fight. Morrison was a tough kid. And, well, I came at him and I gave him everything I had. But, you know, just I got tired, man. He got caught in the, like, fourth round, I think it was.
Okay. And for the casual fans, that's actually Tommy Morrison's son.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Question 17. Have you ever had an incident where you thought you were going to die?
Man, I'll tell you what. A guy named Billy Zumbrin, I fought him back in 2002. He's a good friend of mine too now as well. Boxers always kind of you become friends over time. And he hit me so hard that I did not know where I was, man, for like 2 or 3 hours. I'm not playing with you. I got hit hard. I got dropped. I got up. My eye was cut. Couldn't really see. And I can remember this. I remember the Hilton, Las Vegas Hilton, being black. Big black building inside. And these guys are trying to undress me to give me a drug test. And I'm like, get off me. Get off me. I asked my dad, where's mom? Where's Amber? And at the time, that was my ex-wife. I asked where she was. I forgot that I was even divorced. I got hit so hard, man. I'm not bullshitting you. I swear to God. I forgot my children's names. I forgot I had children. I got hit that hard. It was the worst, scariest experience of my life. When I went to go get, sewn up, and that was at the Las Vegas emergency room, they're sewing me up, and it's like things were just like you didn't remember nothing. It was like my memory was gone. And it was scary because these people were like picking, and pulling and messing with my eye and trying to sew me up. And I don't even know where I'm at. My dad's there saying, you're fine. You're fine. Just calm down. You got your bell rung. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And I was like, man, how'd we get here? And we just, like, dude, we've been here 3 days. We flew in on Wednesday. It's Friday. You fought. It just calmed down. 3 or 4 hours later, I realized that I had children. I realized where I was from. I mean, I got hit that hard. Billy Zumbrin. I'll tell you this. Any fighter will say this. It's when you get cut and you can't see. It's what you don't see is what hurts you. It's when you get caught and you never saw it coming. Those are the worst, nastiest, scariest knockouts. I mean, I was on my feet. I got up. I got up on the count and still made it through the bell. And got to hold on to him until the bell rang and a 4-round fight, and then went back to my corner and it's all a blur, man, but I can still remember the scariest parts of it. It was wild.
Wow, that's crazy. So, but it took several hours for everything to come back?
Several hours. And then I tell you what, if you look up my story, you'll see that I was actually retired in 2009. I fought a fight in Germany in Stuttgart. Then I went to Canada and fought Greg the Steel Pole Kilsa. Me and Kilsa were getting down. In the 5th round, I caught him with an overhand left. I switched up on him, and I had him wobbling. I thought I had him out. So I jumped on him, hands down, and just start banging, just going to his body. And then he cracks me with the biggest shot, big left hand. You can see it's on my Facebook. I'm like out. I'm asleep going down, sweat off my head. I went down. I got up on 8. Referee stops the fight. I thought I won the fight. I got hit that hard. I thought I won the fight. I get back in the dressing room, and the doctor's like trying to check me out. And I asked my coach, man, where are we at? How did we get here? He said, Byron, shut up. The doctors are shut up. I was like, how long we been? Where are we at? He's like, bro, we got here last night. We flew to Montreal, Canada, or not Montreal, it was Toronto at the time. Toronto was still Pole Kilsa. And he's like, we flew to Toronto. You're fine, man. Just calm down. Just relate. And that doctor said, yep, MRI before he returns. So I got back and I had a bad MRI. So I had to retire. That's what retired me. White matter disease is what they called it. And I retired in 2009.
So then how did you get to cleared to unretire?
Pat Nelson and I talked in 2010. I took a whole year off, worked on a little cardio, hit a few bags, really no fire there at all. Not ready to fight again or nothing. He said, I got a chance to put you against Andre Fedosov in California. If you can get in shape, you got a month to train. I got leaned out a little bit for the fight. It's still chubby, but I got a little bit better shape for the fight. I got enough shape to go in there and bang with Fedosov for about a round. We went there. He said, if you pass your physicals and MRI, you're good. You're golden. If not, we're sending you back home. No big deal. We're good. I won't charge you nothing, anything like that. So we go to California. We do the MRI, and they're like, you're good to go. You ready to go? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I fought and came home and cleared for all them years and fought all these years and retired in 2019.
Wow. Yeah, that could have been it back in 2009. Good thing you got about another 10 years out of it.
Well, and I guarantee you, anybody you talk to fighter-wise is taking the shots in as many fights as I have. They also stay away from Las Vegas. They stay away from, Atlantic City. They stay away from California because if you got to have an MRI, that's when you get stopped. That's when it makes it hard to even fight anymore. At 44, I probably could not get approved to fight because I'd have to have an MRI again. The MRIs, there's no joke there, We're trying to look out for each other, and I get that. They want our brains to be healthy, and that's why, the MRI is so important, and you got to stay away from states that want you to have an MRI. Like New York, I fought in New York against Vinny Matalone and never got to fight again there because after the Vinny Matalone fight, they wanted me to have MRIs and all this stuff. So
do you have CTE?
I don't have CTE, no. I have post-traumatic concussion syndrome. That's what the doctor, we actually went and saw a doctor, had a little handshake and stuff going on and a little freaked out about some stuff. And I was like, man, this ain't good. So we went to a specialist and he said, no, neurologist specialist said, no, you've got post-traumatic concussion syndrome. He said, and honest to God with you, my friend, he said, there's nothing we can really give you to change this. He said, the damage is done. He said, you seem pretty smart and snappy and you're fine. He said, but if you fight more, if you keep fighting, it's just going to get worse. He said, eventually it could be so bad that you don't remember, can't talk, get it together, all that. So I was like, yeah, no, I think we're done, So and that was we went and saw him in 2019. So that's when we decided to retire.
All right. Question 18. What's something that your boxing fans don't know about you?
Something my boxing fans don't know about me. Okay. Well, one thing is I've always been a chubby guy. I've never been cut up and built. I don't think my boxing fans know how much I truly did train. I worked out every day. I'd work from 8 to 8 in a car lot. And then I'd work from 8 to 10 o'clock at night, in the gym, training hard, sweating, and just working my butt off. And then we'd get up at 5 in the morning and we'd train. We'd run at the track. We'd spar late at night. We trained hard. You gotta eat, live, and breathe this sport. And I did eat, live, and breathe this sport. That's why I've got 30 wins and the 24 losses. Yeah, I've had people laugh at me when I say that. Man, the 24 losses are against top world people. I mean, so if you want to get paid, and that's what this sport, if you want to get paid, you fight top 10 people and you get beat by them. But you at least go and try and you get paid really good dividends, you know? So, I mean, I had made a lot of good money in my career and I've still got some of it, you know, saved up. And I mean, I'm not broke, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Question 19. If you were stranded on a deserted island and only could have 3 items, what 3 items would you choose?
Deserted island, I can have 3 items, right? Water, food, and a place to lay my head.
Okay. All right. Question 20. If you could go back in time to tell your younger self some advice, what age would you go back to and what advice would you give yourself?
I love this question. I would go back to 2006 in the fight with Rob Calloway, and I would say, throw the right hand, because there was a picture of us throwing our jabs crossed up, you know, past each other, and like he was wide open for the right hand, and I didn't. It was like fighting your dad, man. I had a hard time fighting this guy, and there was so much animosity because it built up over a year. I mean, we sold the crowd. We sold 4,300 completely packed out the arena. That's all it held. And then we sold 500 standing room only. You know, we sold this town out, man. It was a big fight. And for years I had to live this down. Rob beat you. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, he's better at the time. No big deal. I got him later in sparring and he remembers all that and I kicked his ass. It was all good. But yeah, I mean, I lost the fight, but I could go back in time and just tell yourself, you know, I mean, just like the Owen Beck fight, you know, after I dropped Owen Beck in 2004, I was like shocked that I dropped Owen Beck. And being Becker buddies, I love Owen Beck. He's a great guy. We're friends. Hopefully he sees this. I dropped him and I was shocked. I was like, shit, I just dropped Owen Beck. And then, you know, he looks at me kind of shaking his head like, I'm fine, buddy. And then we banged a few times and I could see he was still kind of shooken, but I didn't know enough in the sport yet to jump on him and put him away. And I just wish I would have went back in time and said, put him away, get your hands up, go after him, get him out of there. But I didn't get that aggression and that anger like style until I got older, until I got in like 2004 and on, 2005, 2006, at the young ages, I was just like a kid, I didn't know. I thought my coach was saying, stay back. And he was saying, get on him. That dude, he was ready to whoop my ass, boy, after I dropped him. He'd come running at me.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on and doing the 20 random questions. Sure. I hope they weren't too bad for you. And if you got anything to say to the fans now that you're retired, go ahead.
You bet. Man, for the kids, stay in school, okay? Because remember, I'm a 44-year-old man. I can't fight no more. Fighting's over. My job is I sell cars at a big dealership in Independence, Missouri, Bobsite Kia. But you have to have something to fall back on. You have to have an education to fall back on. And I actually have a college education. I went to be a cop back in 1999, and I actually got college hours and all that. But you've got to have things to fall back on. And family's very important. Make sure that you love your family, and tomorrow's never promised. Make sure you tell everybody you love them, and make sure that people know how you care about them, because you may not get that chance tomorrow.
All right, hold on. And with that, the truth has spoken.